I'm not in pain. I don't know where you got that info from, but it's false. Bro, I saw this. Where's the Peterbot video?
threaded optimization setting, which I and many pros like to keep on auto. By leaving it on auto, you're just letting it do its own thing, and it can be great for multi-core processing. And finally, at the bottom, we've got vertical sync, which you definitely want to have turned off. This setting can give you input delay, so make sure it's disabled. Oh, and as for the rest of the settings, just leave these all on default. That's exactly what the pros do as well. Now that your NVIDIA this setting can give you input delay, so make sure it's disabled. Oh, and as for the rest of the settings, just leave these all on default. That's exactly what the pros do as well. Now that your NVIDIA settings are sorted though, head into adjust desktop size and position. What you're using here depends on what you play, native or stretched resolution. If you are like the majority of pro players and you play native like 1920 by 1080 and you want the lowest possible amount of delay, you need to set your scaling mode to no scaling, and then you need to set the perform scaling on display and not GPU. But if you play stretched resolution, like Peterbot has in the past, that's 1720 by 1080 for example, you want to set your scaling mode to full screen and you want the perform scaling on GPU. Oh, also make sure to tick that override box as well. These are the best settings for stretched resolution, because if you set it on no scaling or aspect ratio, it'll give you black bars, which is not what you want. While speaking about stretched resolutions, we're going to go into change, and finally at the bottom we've got and position. What you're using here depends on what you play, native or stretched resolution. If you are like the majority of pro players and you play native like 1920 by 1080 and you want the lowest possible amount of delay, you need to set your scaling mode to no scaling, and then you need to set the perform scaling on display and not GPU. But if you play stretched resolution like Peterbot has in the past, that's 1720 resolution, because if you 1080 to G-Sync in the setup G-Sync option. Now inside here, this is where you would set up G-Sync. However, most pros do not use this at all. That is why they have the setting completely unchecked. Yes, you could argue that G-Sync does have some great benefits, but the problem with it is the performance depends heavily on what monitor you have, as it can add a small amount of input delay. So again, that's why you'll see a lot of pros have this setting completely unchecked. Now what we want to do is move over to adjust desktop color settings, where inside of here you will find the digital vibrance option, which is the main setting that people customize in this section. Digital vibrance is a setting that can boost your color saturation and contrast, which in turn can make enemies easier to spot and builds pop out way more in game. To name a few that use this, we've got Peterbot, Venno and Clicks, who all use around 70%, while Cold and Bolts use 60%. But yeah, that right there is how pros optimize the NVIDIA control panel. These tweaks, by the way, won't magically double your FPS, but what they will do is make your game feel much smoother, as your input delay will be reduced. So please, if this video did help, drop a like, subscribe, and feel free to check out any of my
Pronamel Active Shield does help protect against erosion and cavities. It gives 2 times stronger enamel defense and 24-hour cavity protection. What I liked about Pronamel Active Shield is the science is there.
The most wanted McDonald's menu items heisted from around the world. Get them before we have to give them back.
This is how to optimize your PC for gaming in just 10 minutes, so you can get the biggest performance boost in the least amount of time. I've made several highly rated optimization guides, and after doing these tweaks, you will get better FPS, lower input delay, and a faster feeling system overall. Let's start